Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a massive topic, a quest that's been going on for over 100 years. What is leadership?
Seriously, think about it. For more than a century, researchers have been trying to crack this code, and that journey has completely changed how we think about what it means to lead.
And this whole quest, it's not one straight line. It's unfolded in these really distinct eras, each one kind of building on the last one, and honestly, sometimes correcting it. We've gone from looking at who leaders are, to what they do, and then to when and even with whom they do it.
All right, let's get into it. Our journey starts way back in the early 20th century. And the thinking back then was really shaped by this great man idea and, the very real practical need to pick good officers for World War I.
So the first big idea was actually pretty straightforward. People thought, hey, if we can just figure out the specific traits of great leaders, we can just select for them. It was like they were searching for a secret recipe, right? A checklist of heroic qualities.
And I mean, they looked at everything, from personality and intelligence, all the way to some of the darker stuff, like narcissism. They were just cataloging it all, just hoping they'd find that magic combination that spelled leader.
But here's the thing. After decades of this, the results were, well, all over the place. The big takeaway was that, yeah, traits matter, but they just couldn't predict who would be a great leader in every single situation. And yet, isn't it funny? Think about how often we still talk about natural-born leaders or get wowed by charisma in an interview. The ghost of this trait era is definitely still hanging around.
So this, let's call it a failure. It led to this huge shift in thinking around the 1940s. The entire research community basically had to admit, you know what? We might be asking the wrong question altogether.
And that's exactly what happened. This new focus, moving away from innate qualities and onto things you can actually see people do, it led researchers at Ohio State to start categorizing hundreds and hundreds of leader behaviors.
And out of all that data, two main things popped out. A focus on people, which they called consideration, and a focus on the task, which they called initiating structure. So consideration is all about building relationships, trust, that kind of thing. Initiating structure is all about getting the job done, pure and simple.
And for a while there, it really seemed like they'd cracked it. The puzzle was solved. The best leaders, they were just the ones who were great at both. They were awesome with people, and they were awesome at getting the work done. Simple, right?
Well, not so fast. Because this one best way idea, it started to fall apart in the real world. I mean, what works for a team of super experienced engineers just doesn't work for a bunch of new trainees. And this is exactly why so many of those one-size-fits-all management programs end up failing. They completely ignore the actual context the leader is in.
So by the time we get to the 1970s, it was becoming crystal clear that the situation, the context, was the big missing piece of this whole puzzle. The environment, the team, the task itself, all of it mattered.
And this led to what we call the contingency approach. It basically means there is no single best way to lead. The right move is totally contingent on the situation. So leadership isn't some fixed formula. It's more like a dynamic dance with your surroundings.
Path goal theory is a perfect example of this in action. It suggests that a leader's main job is to clear the path for their followers. You have to adapt your style based on what each person needs to succeed. So you're not just a boss, right? You're a coach, a guide, a resource, whatever the situation calls for. And this new focus on the individual, on tailoring your approach, well, that set the stage for the next big evolution, thinking about leadership not as a broadcast to a whole group, but as a series of unique, one-on-one relationships.
This is where leader-member exchange, or LMX theory, comes in, and it revealed something that we probably all know intuitively. Leaders just don't treat everyone the same. They create these distinct in-groups and out-groups. Some people become these trusted partners, the cadre, while others kind of stay as hired hands. And doesn't that just explain so much about team dynamics? It's often less about your raw performance and more about the quality of that specific one-on-one relationship you have with your leader.
So once the focus shifted to relationships, it was like a dam broke. We saw an explosion of different leadership styles. Each one is basically a bundle of behaviors designed to build connections and motivate people in different ways. We went from just two behaviors to this whole catalog of approaches, from transformational to servant leadership and everything in between.
But looking at these relationships so closely also uncovered, a dark side. It became obvious that not all leadership is good leadership. researchers started studying destructive styles, especially abusive supervision, and what they found was shocking, just how profound and widespread the damage from bad leadership can be to individuals and to entire companies.
Okay, so where does all this leave our quest today? Well, the search for answers is still going strong, but it's now pushing into some really new and exciting frontiers, way beyond that traditional leader-follower dynamic.
Right now, researchers are looking at some fascinating questions. We're exploring the power that followers have to influence their leaders. We're asking if leadership can be shared across a whole team. We're even looking at the personal cost of being a leader. And of course, the big one. How is technology, from remote work to AI, rewriting all the rules? The questions are getting way more complex and, frankly, more relevant than ever.
Which brings us to a final, really provocative thought. As artificial intelligence starts joining our teams, who or what is the leader then? The evolution of leadership is so far from over. I mean, we went from searching for the perfect hero to trying to figure out how to lead in a digital world with AI colleagues. The quest continues, and you know what? The next chapter might just be the most transformative one yet.